these masks are really symbols of death and isolation and disconnection, and neoliberalism is sort of trying to launder them and turn them into like fashion accessories, basically. And I feel like
there's nothing that the market won't do that with.
Yeah, I feel like it speaks to not just the mask aspect, but just the wider sort of way that COVID culture. There's like an actual COVID culture that started to bubble up among millennials and Gen Z, where people are sort of glorifying being isolated. Like
it's essentially like glamorous doomerism.
Yeah,
like that's basically what it is.
It's glamorous doomerism, basically. That's a perfect way of putting it. It makes me sad because like there's this whole kind of trope about millennials and stuff, and how we were latchkey kids or whatever, and how we had like parents who were working and emotionally unavailable, and therefore we didn't develop our emotional capacity correctly. And you know, I feel like that's part of the reason why so many people are happy. That I've actually seen people happy about that fact that we're in quarantine, because they're like, I'm in my bubble now. I don't have to get hurt by anyone. No one can touch me here. This is a safe insulated bubble, kind of womb-like cave that I've locked myself into. And all of my communication is mediated through the internet, where it's sort of safe. I have this sort of safe distance for me to operate within. And it's this sort of fear, like you were talking in the bonus episode about the hedgehog conundrum from Evangelion, the idea that we want to be close to each other and we want to connect, but we're also spiky. We all have our wounds and we end up hurting each other. And that's the thing. I've always believed this, like, you have to and I mean, this is why the left needs a Jordan Peterson, in a sense. Well, not just the left, like in general, like
this is why Jordan Peterson works.
Well, this is why Jordan Peterson, because you have to
sauce.
You need to fucking toughen up. Like, you need to be more open to social pain. Social pain is a fact of life. You are going to be rejected by people. People are sometimes not going to like you. Sometimes you're going to make yourself vulnerable and you're going to fall flat on your face. But each of those experiences are valuable because it teaches you something. And if you're not open, then you'll never experience anything. You'll never be able to be open to the good experiences that can come your way just for the sake of being open and risking rejection in the first place. But yeah, I've seen this whole kind of COVID culture come up. People are sort of celebrating loneliness, celebrating isolation, celebrating atomization, making it seem like it's this trendy thing. And that's where I sort of resonated with Amber's critique about the mask. This thing that represents pandemic, this thing that represents death, this thing that represents isolation, not being able to see people's faces properly. You know, human faces are important. That being glamorized is something that I do see as a bad thing. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't wear them. I'm not saying don't wear the mask.
It feels like to me like the big difference between like the UK and America is like, I don't know. Like, I was listening to Joe Rogan the other day, shocker, and he was talking basically about moving to fucking Texas with a bunch of other comedians because they're opening the COVID laws there, and people can go and do comedy shows, and life will resume in Texas supposedly. For me, it feels more like someone that just can't have that Obi-Wan Kenobi moment from Phantom of the Menace, where there's like that massive fucking laser door, and you're just like, okay, it's stagnation. All I can do right now is just focus and fucking be at one and be ready for when the laser doors open. No one is willing to just sit there and be like, okay, let's just wait. Let's just wait for the next moment to come.
That's such a good metaphor, and I hate that you came up with it. It's the most useful piece of media analysis anybody's contributed regarding the Phantom Menace.
Jake the bread tube boy.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you just beat all of them. Like, everybody tries to be like, I'm gonna talk about the Phantom Menace, but you've just done it. You've created the most important Phantom Menace metaphor. Because you've related it to COVID in a way that I promise no one has.
It's the perfect trifecta of Star Wars Phantom Menace, Joe Rogan, and COVID-19. So, yeah.
Yes, you've really intersected them all perfectly.
But the difference in the UK, it feels more like fucking everyone is actually not necessarily, oh, I need to get back to work, but it's like Boris is doing a good job. This is all going to be okay, and like everything's going to be all right, and it's kind of like this
bootlicker mentality.
Yeah, bootlicker. Some people are calling it reminiscent of that kind of like blitz spirit kind of like attitude, which I guess is also encouraged
That's
through
what British
Boris
people-
Johnson's like Churchillism, or however much he
No,
tries to like
this is
bring that through.
disgusting.
I know, but this is just what people think. This is
No,
what
but
this is not
it's
what I
so
think. This is what people
I
think.
know, but I'm here to say it's disgusting because anytime there's a crisis in Britain, people want to hold hands and sing "We'll Meet Again" and pretend it's the fucking war times, and it's gross.
Keep calm and carry on.
Yeah, literally. That whole keep calm and carry on shit happens all the time. People are like, oh, just trust what the Queen says. And like, literally, she did her fucking like address to the nation and she had these cold, dead eyes. Like, literally cold, dead eyes. And she was like,
she's like
yes, we will meet
116 years
again.
old.
You'll get to meet your families again. You'll get to meet again, like with no concern, no warmth. And the fact that people could find that reassuring, the fact that anyone could find that reassuring is absolutely, totally perplexing to me. And yeah, there is this sort of undercurrent in the UK right now of people thinking, despite all of the cock-ups that have happened, people are still like, oh, it's fine. We'll get out. We'll bang our pots and pans and we'll clap for the NHS and we'll fucking say that everything is fine and like it's gonna get back to normal eventually. Meanwhile, in their actual houses, they're clawing at the walls. They're crawling at the walls. Even the professional managerial class, they're all trapping each other on Zoom calls just to have something productive to do because they're starting to realize that they have given their entire lives over to generating profit and they have no meaningful connections or relationships outside of their work life, basically. So they're just like on Zoom calls.
I feel bad for the PMCs who like are realizing that all those hours they spent at the office that they thought was like entirely necessary, like they can just fucking do their job from home, and like that's literally like there's really no point of them even being in the office. But I was gonna say that in Amber's article, she also talks about quarantine and how basically like companies or like brands have been painting it as like an opportunity. Like, how are you gonna spend your quarantine? Like it's some kind of holiday. Yeah. Which is vile because for a lot of people, being under quarantine is like a major source of stress. Like, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for that? Not seeing your family.
It's even present in some of the marketing. Like, you have Keep Calm and Carry On going there. We have Keep Calm and Carry Out. Like, they have these signs up, and I am so fucking offended by these fucking signs that say keep calm and carry out. They're like, support your local restaurants, and it's like fucking Burger King that has this goddamn sign up that says keep calm and carry out. They're not a fucking local restaurant. They're fucking Burger King.
There's even the whole like thing with like the tat salespeople, like all those people that sell shitty stuff, who are like, yeah, transform your quarantine den into a neon utopia, and like you can buy all these like lights for your bedroom that make it look like you're living in Blade Runner. And I'm like, this is dystopia.
Can you link me?
I found my fucking project.
No.